we're without Wes Garrett, so that's my attempt at playing his music.
It's normally longer.
It is normally longer. I got some new lighting. I don't know if you. Oh, I didn't really get new lighting, but I kind of changed my lighting around a little bit. I don't know if you can tell. So
I can tell it's darker in the background. It's a little more forward. Right? So I can see your. In fact, I'm in an Airbnb. It's not a normal setting for me either. Every week's a new setting for me. But I'm looking. I'm like, man, I'm tilting my screen. Like, man, Bill's face looks whiter. Like, spotlight. Right. It's the lighting.
Yeah. Maybe I should dim it down a little bit, but we'll see. We'll play with it. So
probably need some tweaking, but it's close.
It's close enough. So welcome everybody. We are on number 33, and man, we've got a stacked house tonight. That's for sure. Episode 33. I'm in Houston. Phil's on the road. He's between the Jack Daniels and the Royal Oak Invitational, and I leave tomorrow morning for the Royal Oak Invitational. So I'll be seeing some of you guys this weekend. But yeah, man, what a weekend, huh?
Yeah.
Man,
that's the only way you can sum it up. What a weekend.
I cooked for my daughter's graduation party, so I cooked 4 briskets, and man, I've been tearing them up on Instagram. I've got like 4 briskets to pick from. I've got so much brisket footage of these briskets I cooked over. And I cooked them low and slow overnight. Man, they all came out great, but yeah, I've got all this footage I'm posting all over my Instagram reels of all these damn briskets. So, and I still haven't.
That turn in didn't get in the way of that content, huh?
No.
You're less brisket case, man. I can film it all day.
And I had nephews and stuff coming over for the party, man. Handed them the phone. Hey, come in the trailer. We got to cut another brisket, and because they wiped out those briskets, and my wife's like, man, none of them used the hamburger buns to make sandwiches. I said, yeah, because the brisket tasted good, babe. They didn't need to make a sandwich out of it, Yeah, all the damn buns left over. So, but yeah, it was, man, my daughter, she graduated from esthetician school. And there were some people here that, man, they watched the podcast, people she works with, other, man, husband and wives or the girls. And man, we're giving away chicken fried hats. And man, these girls were wearing the hats in the party. It was a mess, but it was a lot of fun. So, man, shout out to anybody that was at the party that watches the show. So, you, on the other hand, like I said, when the party was going on, it was kind of over when y'all's live award stopped and it started, and I was like, man, we still had some people here, and I was like, man, I'm watching these awards. I'm not going to miss the Jack Awards. So, I turned it on my phone, man. I had it going. I was trying to connect to my Bluetooth speaker, but couldn't. But got it up there and saw you get the chicken call, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, he got a chicken call," And which, man, you ran your new injection as well. That was pretty cool. I don't know if you wanted to say that to everybody, but I did. So
yeah,
I'll let you talk about it, Phil. Shit, but yeah.
No, man, it was. Man, it was a great start. I mean, we did a lot of categories too. Mom did dessert. Carmen and Kit, they tackled the chef's choice. Kit turned in sauce. We did the I Know Jack, where there were 5 teams doing that. We did that on Friday. So, man, we did a lot of stuff. Man, we had fun doing all of it. And, man, we didn't leave anything on the table on anything that we did. Man, had a good cook on Saturday with the meats, and man, we had high hopes going into awards, but you know how it is. I mean, you're at the Jack, and man, you're at the mercy of, I don't know, whoever gets sat in front, I guess. But yeah, man, right out of the gates, I think Janky had the 10th chicken, and then man, we had 9th. So man, like I always say, man, I'm always happy to get a chicken call. Been working on a new chicken injection for a couple months. It's had some ups and downs, mainly ups, and man, I like where it's been, and man, proud to see it hit it at the Jack. Man, I was probably most worried about ribs. Just, man, nothing was wrong with them. They just weren't as good as maybe some that turned out lately. So in my mind, I was worried about that. We didn't get a rib call. I told Carmen, and we need another call, a big call on these last 2 meats to get anywhere in the mix. And man, pork came and went. And by the time it got to brisket, man, Razor Axe had that first rib. Man, he had the first pork. Man, it got down to second brisket, and Janky hit that. and I'm really not even thinking about getting calls anymore. You know, when I got the first place brisket, and it was just like, you know, kind of a holy shit moment or whatever. So, man, it was great. It was great.
I saw Dustin at the barbecue store. You know, I went there earlier this week to grab some stuff, and he was just getting back. He said, "Man, I thought Phil was going to break me whenever he hugged me. I guess he hugged you there, or, you know, he grabbed a hold of me and just was squeezing so hard on that brisket call. Because, man, I felt like my lungs were going to collapse."
Man, sorry, Dustin. I don't remember hugging you. So it was kind of a little bit of a blur, but I did not do that, Aaron. And I might have dropped my tumbler at a high rate of speed, but yeah. So yeah, it was a great moment, and it was great. Kind of where we were sitting, we had Razor Racks right there. Scuffletown was right behind us. Man, when they did the overall, you know, we got 7th, and then they just kept going, and then man, they called Razor Racks 3rd, and I'm like, wow, okay. And then Janky reserved, and I think everybody was kind of like, man, I don't know, you know. There was, I think, a couple more teams that had a couple calls, and I turned around and talked to Albie and them, and they were like, yeah, we got, what's your calls? And we were just sorting, and then, man, and then they called it. They're right behind us, and you got to see all that emotion. And I mean, it was super cool. And then Jordan was right there, get to see all his, and both first place pork and ribs that Drew hit. Man, I've never seen that kind of reaction out of Drew. I mean, he's so even keel and nothing. And I mean, there was a ton of, like, he was super excited, and man, it was kind of just cool to see all that out of, man, it's a big moment, right? So
yeah. No shit. Yeah, it's fucking massive. I got a clip here. I sent it to you earlier. I'm going to play it in case people haven't seen it. I stole this off of Girls Can Grill. Man, there's Phil's, if I can find it. Here's that first place where they said Reed stole the show. Hang on, here we go. Let's see here.
This brings us to the first place winner in the brisket category. Taking home another beautiful cleaver. Can I open this one up, or am I still not allowed to play with sharp objects? All right, we'll open it up here in a minute. A beautiful hammer-style cutlery piece. A beautiful, perfect 180 pin. And a beautiful check for $2,000 to LZ Barbecue. $2,000. Guys, if you don't come on, I'm giving the money to the women or the youngster here.
We're all going to get our pictures. Okay, now you're going to look at them. All right, he's set. Got it. All right, we got a couple more people over here watching the picture.
That's awesome. Did Bubba tell you or something? Did y'all have a conversation about the brisket?
Man, if we did, I don't remember. Man, apparently he remembers a lot better than me because I have no idea, and I don't even know where he gets all this stuff. So, but
Yeah. He is pretty quick. So, but yeah, I saw KP in the background, huh?
Yeah, where's he at?
He's lingered around there somewhere.
Floating around here somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, well, shoot, man. First, what Danny Mike said, if you can't win the contest, win first place brisket. So, man, what a great freaking last call for sure, bro. Congratulations, and
Appreciate it.
man, these next two guys, man, there's only a couple spots better than first place brisket, and I think these guys have got it covered. So we'll bring these guys on. Let's see. There's Albie, and there's
What's
the
up,
Jankster.
guys?
How's it going, boys? Shit.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you guys bring us on here just to argue about who really won on the tiebreaker?
make a good show.
Right out of the fucking gate. Right.
Man, I tell you what, and I have been somewhat they had a big contest down here in San Antonio a couple of years ago, and I was kind of in a similar position to Jordan, where they announced the grand was Fred and the reserve was Larry Zimmerman, and then man, on the Tuesday they redid their math and they moved me up to reserve. So it was kind of there's 300 teams. It's our biggest sanctioned cook-off in Texas, with 300 teams, and it was and with me reserving it on a Tuesday, I think I got more press out of that, and people switched it to, you might as well thought I granted it, because man, they forgot all about Fred winning the contest. It was all about me reserving it on a Tuesday. So
yeah,
but yeah,
somebody asked me, like, how's that work with the tiebreaker? And I was like, I'm really not going to look into it.
I'm not sure, but I think they got it right.
I think it worked pretty good, huh?
It seemed pretty good to me. I don't know.
Whatever it was, thank God it was that way.
Yeah. And me and Jordan are buddies, and we've already talked about this. And so I actually, like whenever Jordan called me on Sunday morning, because we got back to the Verbo and I finally looked at the posted scores, I was like, shit, we tied. And I told my uncle that and my wife that. I was just like, oh, and kind of like, oh man, that's because me and Jordan are close. And so whenever I was on my way home, Jordan called me and we started chatting. That's kind of the first thing I said, like, man, we tied. And I asked him, like, how's that work? And so anyways, but
man, I know the feeling, Jordan. I tied last year with first place brisket. And I got second place brisket at the Jack, but it was but at the equally so, man, it was the drop score was the deciding factor. He had got me on the drop score. We both had the same score, but his drop score was higher than mine. So I ended up with second place barrelhead, which man, I was happy with. It still felt like a win to walk out of there with the barrelhead for sure. So anything above a barrelhead is nothing but man, I can't imagine. It's got to be awesome to actually GC it or even reserve it. I mean, it's still a remarkable, achievement. I think me and Jordan were talking. He's reserved just about every world championship he's cooked, or either won or reserved it, except Houston. Is that right, Jordan? Isn't that what we were saying the other day?
Yeah.
So, it's pretty serious. And how'd you guys feel about your cooks just overall? Were you, like Phil was saying, he didn't necessarily think his ribs were his best rib he ever did, where y'all
Oh, I'm sorry. I loved our chicken and ribs. Like after we were through rib turn in, I was like, man, this is right where I want to be, And pork, I liked it. I'd say I got lucky. I got the right stuff in the box. You know what I mean? We had some stuff that was over, and I had some pork that was over that started to go in the box, and just like right at the last second, I mean, almost right before we closed it, I was like, let me try something that's in the box. And I tried it. I was like, nah, I don't like that. And I actually scrapped it all, went all the way back through everything that we had and found good stuff and redid it, put it back in there. And then, brisket was decent. We've done very well on brisket this year. And I will say it was the jus was a little salty. And so we put a little bit more sauce on it to turn it in, and so I really didn't know, but when we got 2 awards and went through chicken and ribs and didn't hear our name called, I was kind of like, yeah, well, we're done, you know, because I felt so strongly about those two. But then, you know, we got 9th place in pork and 4th place in brisket. And so, you know, as I'm walking back to, you know, where we were sitting, I was kind of like, we might be top 10, you know. I mean, I feel so good about, we probably are top 10, actually. I like the first two, you know. And then just kind of watching it all play out, you know, and especially when it gets down to, you know, where Razor Axe Drew, you know, did he have 2 180s? Is that right?
Yeah, I think he did.
When he got called third, I was like, oh, God, I thought he had won it, you know. And then whenever Jordan got reserve, then it was kind of like I knew there were other teams out there with the same amount of calls as me. And, you know, I actually kind of had the experience at the
Thanks for the donation, John. Appreciate it. Sorry about that, Albie. Go ahead.
You're good. No, I was kind of in the situation back in May at the KCBS World Invitational where I had 2 180s. I have 180 chicken and a 180 brisket. And the judges got it right, but I completely bombed pork. You know what I mean? That kept me from, you know, I was really set up to win the deal. And so I know how that feels. So, but I was sitting there at the end, you know, and like Phil was right in front of me. So he turned around, he's, you know, got his phone on me, you know, what are your calls? You know, do you think you won it? I was like, nope, not me, you know, kind of pointing over there, somebody over there, you know, not me. But Phil, I was going to tell you, man, thanks for that video because I've watched it so many times and like, I'll treasure it forever because, you know, I hate to use the word blackout, but like when they called our name, like that's what happened. I completely blacked out. I started jumping up and down, screaming, hugging people, crying, you know what I mean? It was just like the emotions were really high, you know, so.
Man, it was awesome to watch. And man, so like 2 years ago when I was at the Jack, I was sitting in a similar spot, about, you know, somewhere in that area. And man, Chris Schaefer was pretty close by. And it kind of came down to the end where like, man, it was probably, I think he might have 3 walks. Like it was going to be.
He had 3. Yeah, he had 3 that year.
It was going to be Chris, right? And I did the same thing where, man, I'm just like on him. So I got like, man, really good, you know, video of all that. You get to see those moments. And man, yeah. So, man, that was cool that you were so close to be able to capture that, man. Because it is, I mean, I agree. It's a little bit of a blackout moment. Like I'm just reading comments going, oh, yeah, you hugged me. I mean, you just don't remember. It's just like, what just happened?
Yeah. Well, one of the coolest things is, you know, Jordan was up there, you know, basically gathering all his stuff that he just won for reserve. And whenever they called my name, by the time I basically jumped up and down, hugged my uncle, Chris Schaefer and Jason Cole, and I turned around, Jordan was already down there at the very, you know, went from the stage to the very back. To the very
I don't
back
run very much.
But when you do, you're fast. You know,
I was moving.
You had to get there quick because you were like the first one there, and
I almost knocked over Chip Chapman, I think.
It meant a lot to me. It really did. You know, like just, you know, gave me a hug and just, you know, told me, you know, congrats and you deserved.
He was done with it.
Yeah, maybe it's kids got on.
It's my turn.
Oh, here he goes. I think you're back.
Am I on?
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
You're back.
I live out in the country, so it's probably our Wi-Fi, but
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, no, I mean, you know, I don't cook much anymore. I really like the Jack's been the thing that's kind of like really kind of kept me going, I guess. You know, I've been cooking for 11 years. And I'm sure a lot of people, you know, especially on this show, don't even really know, you know, who the hell I am. But, you know, the last couple of years, I think if you take out the KCBS World Invitational, I've only cooked like 6 contests. Yeah. And I've just really just kind of, the Jack's kind of been what has kept me going. I've just cooked enough to try to win one a year to, you know, to have a chance to get to the Jack. And so this year was my first year actually getting in and being able to cook it for myself. So
did you get the Indiana draw? Is that what it was, Albie?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It was
nice.
It was a Mount Vernon, Indiana contest, and right. I think there was only 4 bungs in Indiana, I think.
Okay.
Wow.
So
what a cool story, man. And then you go win it. So the way I got it figured, were you trying to ease into retirement? It sounds like, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The way I got it figured, you got at least one more year doing this because you just qualified for a lot more events. So
yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, no, that's. I'll definitely be back. And I didn't cook many contests leading up to the Jack, but I can tell you this: there wasn't a weekend that I wasn't out there cooking, and a lot of
Right.
nights after work doing the small meets, or if I could squeeze them in or whatever. You know what I mean? So like I worked my tail off leading up to it. That's for sure. I mean the night that or the day that the draw came out and I saw my name, I called my wife. I was like, pick up wings on the way home. So
Nice.
it started
Nice.
right then.
Yeah, the work paid off. That's for sure.
Well, and two, I mean, did you cook the KCUS Invitational, right, in Lebanon?
Yes.
And did you win first brisket both days?
I did. Yep.
Yeah. I remember that because I was there, and I remember I think I won first brisket both days, which I thought that in itself was pretty remarkable with, 100 teams each day, to land first place brisket both days. So
that was cool. And, this is the first year I've cooked on drums. I've cooked on a Jambo before that. I had a Jambo I cooked on for 8 years. And so that contest in Lebanon actually was my second contest. I did a small contest in Louisville a couple weeks before that, but that was just my second and third contest cooking on drums. You know what I mean? So I wasn't sure how I was going to go, to be quite honest with you. But after that, I was like, all right, I think I can figure this out,
Yeah. Aaron says start practicing the half chickens.
Well, I talked to you about, or I was going to say, I was going to ask you, like, I don't know anything about like what you guys do down there. And so apparently, like, I was going to talk to Jordan too about the Houston Rodeo and Livestock Show. But I mean, so
don't talk to me. I got my ass kicked in chicken. I got Bill over there cheering me
on.
Give
it enough years, no one's immune from it in Houston. No one's immune from that in Houston. You give it enough shots, sooner or later, you'll get your ass kicked in something for sure.
I practiced half chickens damn near for 2 weeks, especially when I got to Texas. I was down there the week before. Man, I talked to Purvis probably 20 times. I practice half chickens every single day, sometimes 2 times a day. And he's over there. He's giving me he's fluffing me up, man. That was it. Jank, I don't know. That was it, man. That was it. They came walking down there with those banners, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to fucking.
That's me. Bill said that was it.
I was like, Bill said that chicken was good. They're about to get me one. They started passing it out to everybody, and I was standing in the corner looking like a little jealous ass. I'm like,
man, when you started practicing those half chickens, you probably should have turned in one exactly like the first one you ever did.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And you're exactly right. I mean, Stacy Brenneman, I don't know if he's watching, but man, he's a hell of a chicken cook. And, in Houston, they work, perfect score, I think, is 100. And they basically take your score and double it. So if your score is 50, they double it and they give the 100. But he scored a 50 on his chicken. I guess it was either that year or maybe the year before. And it's like, how do you score a 50? How does that happen? I mean, he was like, I don't know, 190th. He was almost dead last in chicken. And he's a comp cook on the circuit that does well in chicken. But man, Houston's its own animal. It's a
man, if he is watching, he probably was hoping you wouldn't circle back on that one.
Sorry, Stacy.
Sorry, Stacy. Man, if he is watching, he probably ain't gonna watch no more.
Right. I'm cooking with him this year too. I don't know if I told you that. Yeah, I think I did. Maybe.
Oh yeah,
I don't
you
know.
did. You did. Well, like I said, man, you cook Houston enough, and sooner or later it'll get you.
Yeah.
And I think he had a pretty good chicken that time too. So
yeah, it's man, it's a shit show. It is. Houston's a different animal. People are allowed to turn in late. They don't really enforce the turn in times. It's squirrely. It's a charity event with a jackpot that's a barbecue contest. So that's essentially what it is. A fundraiser with a jackpot is a barbecue contest. But it's a lot of fun. You'll have a lot of fun.
Ready, Albie. A little more practice to go. Jordan.
And Champions Row is nice, Jordan. I mean, they treated you nice and all the rest. I mean, that part was really cool.
It was a great time. It was a really good time.
It's a good experience, but it's man, I wouldn't hold your breath on anything with Houston. It's It's a different deal. So, but yeah, what about you, Jordan? What were your calls? So Albie, you had what, a ninth pork? Got in there for ninth pork and a fourth brisket. So you're thinking, man, there's no way this is me. Yeah.
Right.
Especially
Absolutely.
with, man, I thought Jason Cole, you know, he had a first chicken and a fourth rib. I was like, oh shit, man, these boys are in trouble. Jason's coming out strong, you know.
Yeah. I agree.
With that first, I think he had I think he won
chicken and a second brisket, right?
What's that?
You had a 10th chicken and a second brisket, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So where were you? So where was your mind at in the top 10 as they went down the list? I mean,
so just to circle back to the cook, so chicken, I'm pretty sure me and Allie were like verge of divorce. Man, our wings were awful. Like, I was pissed. Oh, I was pissed. And because I normally I don't cook wings, you know, so I had been practicing up to that. And anyway, I practiced on Wednesday at the Jack, or Thursday, and I thought they were good, so I was like, we're in, like, this is what I'm going to run. And I don't know if I got them too hot or what in the wrap, but man, it was like the bottoms of them of the wings, the thighs were good. And the bottoms of the wings, man, had almost turned to like leather. So I had only set sauce on 4 wings, and I told Allie, I was like, I'm going to try one. And if she's talking shit already, I said, I'm going to try one. And if they're bad, we're going to put 1 in there. Well, we had 3 sitting there, and she's like, you got to put 3, because we won chicken 2 years ago, and that's what we wanted on 6 thighs and 3 wings. She's like, put 3. They taste good. Maybe the texture's not great. So I put 3 in there, and like last minute, I'm like, no, pull them out. Let's just put 1 in there. And she's like, nope. There's sauce all over the kale now, this and that. I'm like, just pull it out of there and leave 1 in there. Dude, she just shuts the box. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing? She's like, we got to go. I turned into a psychopath. I was like, what the she walks out. I'm shit talking her. I'm like, I cannot believe this shit. So anyway, I was pissed. And I heard her tell Jay Craig with Outlaw Smokers, he was cooking with us. And I heard her tell him out on the porch. I'm standing there getting ready to process ribs, and I heard her say, now you probably haven't seen this side of Jordan, but once he gets pissed, he's kind of an asshole. And I'm like, this motherfucker's out here just shit talking me right now. So anyway, the cook goes through. Everything else was like really good. I was happy with everything. And I told him, I said, now look, if we can get lucky and somehow survive chicken, we might be okay. I said, but if we get a call, the judging's fucked. And man, I had told, Bill Hine walks in my trailer. He literally walks in while I'm boxing, and he's like, I know you're pissed. Your wings aren't good. And he tries one, and he literally says, he takes a bite from the chicken that's laying there. He takes a bite, and he like shakes his head, and he's like, oh yeah, I'd be disappointed in that too. I'm like, he walks out, and Allie's like,
confirmation, they're shit.
Allie goes, oh damn. I was like, yeah, they're bad. So anyway, yeah, man, we sure as shit, we sitting there, and they call us 10th and chicken, and I just like duck, waiting for people to start throwing tomatoes at me. And I heard David Gone in the background booing me. So yeah, we got the chicken call, and as soon as we come back from that call, like I told Allie, I was like, now look, anything could happen. I was like, but if this was a regular old comp, I was like, we might be in good shape. And she's like, you think? Because I thought, man, when it got down to like top 5 in pork, I was like, man, our pork was so good. So yeah, I mean, we got lucky with chicken, really, and but I'm sure there was a lot of them doing me. But yeah, man, we were happy with it. Other than that, and man, when it got down, honestly, I was really pulling for Drew, and not to, pour salt in the wounds, but damn, I was really like, you get down to that and you start thinking of people who normally don't drop a category, and Drew normally isn't a guy who would drop one, so you're thinking, damn, 280s, he's going to walk this by 8 points,
Yeah.
But it's like you say, some people hit those tables, and I think a lot of these big comps happen. You got to cook good, but you got to somehow navigate the tables.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought, like I said, Drew was Drew, and two, and I think Drew's landed like third there a couple of different times. I think one year I went with Fred, and I think Fred finished fifth, and man, Drew was right there for third place. So I'm not sure how many times he's
and I think it was third. I think it was 3 because we talked to Drew.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
That was his third time to finish third.
Wow.
So that's got to be a little bittersweet. Obviously, big congratulations to Drew for taking down 2 categories at the Jack, and third overall's awesome. I know he was hoping for more, so
yeah.
I have no doubt before it's over with, he'll take it down. So
yeah, man, whenever he got those 180s and he blew up,
he did, man.
Dude, he come back after that pork 180, and I was sitting right behind him. I leaned up and whispered in his ear. I was like, there's that cocky little shit we all know. Because Chelsea, we always joke with him. I was like, man, you're always just like so laid back. And Chelsea's like, in high school, he wasn't. He thought, he was big shit. And, man, as soon as he jumped up and he about threw that damn chair through my shins, I leaned up on him. I was like, man, oh, man. I said, there it is. There's that cocky little shit. And he just grinned.
Yeah, when he got that second 180, I was sitting maybe a couple down from him, and I just stuck my hand out to give him a high five. He ripped my hand and pulled me. I almost went over the row of the chairs. And he's like, I'm sorry.
On that pork, I tried to give him a hug, and he went through my throat. I was like, dude, you trying to choke me out? What the hell are you trying to do?
Another blackout moment.
Man, we need to get Drew on the show. We definitely need to get Drew on the show. Maybe after we get back from Royal Oak, we'll get him on. But we'll let it, let the healing, give him a couple of weeks to, get over the third place, because man, third place sometimes does suck, and it just does occasionally, especially, when you get so close, but it is what it is. Let's see. There's a lot of people in the comments want some Shiggin information, so I don't know what you boys want to give up, if there's any Shiggin,
I think they're all asking for Jordan's wing recipe.
Really?
Get your notepads ready, boys. Here it comes.
Tip 1, throw them in the butter, turn it up real hot. So I met Albie when I very first started cooking, and we've been really good friends ever since. So what a lot of people don't know, he's saying that he doesn't cook much now, but whenever I started cooking, he was the guy that you kind of was like, shit, he was the man, and always been super humble, but he's put it on a lot of people. He has racked up some points on and got some wins under his belt. So he may not cook a ton now, but we're all thankful he's not.
It's like riding a bike. He's in there. Yeah.
I would not say that. And actually, someone just asked, since I only do a handful, what I attribute the success to. I would say, I really did. Even though I wasn't cooking comps, I was cooking every single weekend. I don't think that a lot of people realize that if you're not out there, probably like you guys are, you know what I mean, in comparison to me, that I've got to try to replicate that at home as best I can. You know what I mean? And so I've got 2 daughters. We're in softball and soccer and who knows what right now. And so it's Saturday, we kind of wake up and it's divide and conquer. I take one girl, my wife takes the other, and then we see each other in the evening. So a lot of times it's, cooking on a Sunday. And, there were times that I didn't like what I cooked on a Sunday, and I wanted to try to figure it out quickly. So, Monday afternoon, after work, you know what I mean? That I would fire up the grill again and cook into the night a little bit, you know what I mean? So
comp meats. Comp meats, right, Albie? You do it like ribs, exactly like you would do at a comp.
Yeah, like if I, like there's, if I do like would do it a comp. I didn't cook a lot of brisket. It was more the three others.
Small meats. Yeah.
Yeah, small meats. And, like I said, this is my first year on drums. So I really was trying to form a program, and that's really how I did it, was by cooking that much, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I'd say that's why I had the success that I had, was because, man, I was, like there were some guys, that kind of, came around the trailer, talked to me and everything. And afterwards they were like, man, you were so focused. And I was extremely dialed in. And, I didn't go to the barbecue hill because it kind of interfered with what where my injection times were, you know what I mean? And so now I just feel like I heard a lot of people as I was walking around, like getting my barrelhead signed. I heard a lot of people say like, yeah, I'm just trying to get this done so I can go to barbecue hill, and I don't, maybe that's their normal time, you know what I mean? But it seemed like there's a lot of people that were, changing stuff up, and I just didn't want to do that.
And we got another question from Razor Racks about what's the hardest meat to figure out on a drum from going from a Jambo, you think?
It shouldn't be, but it's been pork for me, like when, and, like the doneness for me on, I guess this is the Shiggin tip, like the doneness for me, I rarely probe. I'm always by feel, you know what I mean? And way back in the day, I took Steve Hayden's class, and he basically said, like when you feel it through the foil and it feels like a done baked potato in the oven, that's when you need to start checking it. And so that's kind of what, I feel on the outside. And if I press on it and that foil crimps in and doesn't kick back on me, like I know it's probably just like a baked potato would. That's when I know it's getting close. And so I don't know. Like I said, it shouldn't be, but that's been the toughest for me. I've just been overshooting it. And I think just probably because that more intense heat from the drum versus the Jambo, I mean, I was cooking it over a little bit, so I just had to figure that part out. It took me several times over cooking it. Like at the KCBS World Invitational, when I had two 180s, but I bombed pork. It was because when I started slicing and everything, I was like, oh, this is way over. So.
How many butts?
Man, I bombed pork there too. I think I was DAL in pork at the KCBS Invitational. It was hard. Man, it was great. I thought it was good, so.
Yeah.
So Albie, how many butts do you cook?
So I'm only cooking monies, and I'm literally just cooking the monies, and I'll keep some of the tubes on the bottom, but then like when they color up and I wrap them, I'll kind of trim them out just to the monies. And it's anywhere between 4 and 6, but there I cook 6.
Yeah. What about you, Jordan? You're cooking monies and a butt, or no?
I cook enough pork to feed the whole comp. I cook. I cook a ton of pork. You're gonna be like, why? No, I cook. I cook $5 and 2 whole butts. So I cook.
Wow.
I just cook collars. I just trim them down aggressive to aggressive trim on the collars for monies, and then I separate monies off my butts. So I have 7 monies essentially, and because I have a full pork box, and then I have full butts for tubes.
Well, Aaron's we'll circle back to Phil's brisket because, man, it was a perfect brisket. I don't know if everybody knows that, but Phil sent me a text because, man, it doesn't show that on the actual sheet, but it was a perfect brisket. So, man, at some point you'll get a perfect pin, Phil. I don't know. Man, they usually hand them out at the banquet, don't they, Jordan? The perfect pins?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the last time I had a perfect chicken.
Maybe. Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know.
But man, we didn't have a 180 sticker. I had the pin. It was taped to the envelope. But man, if there was a 180 sticker, I ain't found it yet.
Yeah, I think they gave the sticker and pin there.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was a.
Oh,
and I didn't know that deal.
The pin was on the envelope.
Yeah.
that I sent it to you. I had never looked at my sheet, and I started looking at the sheet, I think yesterday, and I was like, yeah, it was a perfect. Huh. Just kind of looking to see what my drop score was, and I'm like, man, I didn't have one.
Right.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Man, I don't know if you guys, I don't necessarily monitor any kind of barometric pressure. Maybe Aaron does, but man, do you guys, you see his comment there?
I don't monitor it, but I know, yeah, I mean, like, I know that it definitely does change things. And, back when I first started, there was a guy that I really looked up to is Yellow River Barbecue. And he was a great cook. And, like he mentioned that to me, and he would track that. He would track the pressure, like every single cook. He had a book that he walked around with, and he could kind of tell you, like back in July 14th of, 2014, this was the barometric pressure that day. But I never really got into it that far.
I don't track that. I verify out elevation when we travel quite a bit, just cooking in all areas. Water boils at certain elevations, so you're doneness, and you don't want to try to run something too aggressive. You dry it out, or you go to Colorado, man, and you're trying to get a brisket to 208 or 209, and you'll never get there. You just crumble it up because it ain't going to go over 201 or 202.
Yeah, I will look at the elevation, but I definitely, man, I don't even know how to find. I guess you could Google the barometric pressure, but man, I don't Google that. I do Google the elevation. So,
man, I'm just like George. I'll check the elevation. I heard some guys talking. I didn't really realize they were saying that at the gate, but I heard 3 or 4 teams saying that, and even a few teams going, man, we're going to do a practice cook. Just make sure the smokers are running. They were saying, hey, they run weird, and I'm like, man, I don't remember that, and I don't remember that last time I was here. I don't remember having any problems. So. Man, I didn't do anything different. I did check the elevation, but it was, man, what was it, 600-700 feet or something?
I think it's 800
feet. It's not, wasn't really that high or whatever. So, and I didn't notice any difference myself.
Yeah, I just checked the difference between Lebanon, Tennessee, and there, before I went down there to see how much of a difference there was. And I was thinking mostly on brisket, you know what I mean? But
yeah, sure. Yeah, but I didn't notice any difference in the way anything cooked myself. So, and I've never paid attention to the barometric pressure. When it starts getting to that point, man, I'll probably be looking to do something different. So,
I bet you he's got it on a spreadsheet.
Man, it sounds like if we're checking the barometric pressure, it kind of brings us to our next segment. Man, that sounds like a KP moment. If he's barometric pressures,
we do have a KP clip. It's not on the barometric pressure, but he was with us when we went to Australia, and my pit caught on fire in Australia, and Phil, me, Kit, I had everything loaded on this pellet cooker, and man, it was up in flames, and man, we're all dragging shit off, throwing it into pans. But let me play the KP clip about the fire, because he's got his own little fire going. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Here's KP.
You got a burnout going. It's got 1,000 degrees.
Major burnout. Whoa. Not bad.
Half a burnout, Bill.
Whoa.
What? You got a half a burnout, Bill. We're trying. We remember one thing in Australia. Keep cool.
What was he throwing? What was he throwing on it? Flour or something? What did he have?
Here, get on this. Get these right here. Get in there and tell what you did.
What? Throwing flour over my head like salt, dude. That's good love.
And Kit probably has some information on the barometric pressure. He could probably speak into that, of how it affects the cook. He's a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, Shiggerism. No, he ain't having none of it.
What's he saying?
Can't say.
I tell you what.
Say.
No,
he won't give up the goods. He won't give them up.
Out there, don't pee right below yourself and then cook, because it's going to come up and rise the pressure a little. If it's cold weather,
Sorry, everybody.
Oh,
And he's still hungover from Sunday.
yeah, he is.
There was an international team who right across the way from us, man. He about burnt down some guy's trailer.
I
mean,
heard
it was-
that. I heard there was a
it
fire.
It was awful. Me and Aaron and Bill. I mean, there was 3 or 4 of us over there. We had to get fire extinguishers. I mean, and the guy couldn't speak any English, so I was like, at first, I could tell he was worked up, and I looked over there, and then I saw that it was a gravity feed or like a water cooker, like a cabinet cooker. Man, all of a sudden you started seeing the flames just shoot out the front of the doors, hitting the roof of that porch. I was like, holy shit. I was like, is there meat on here? So there was a guy that was like translating, and someone was like, get the water hose. I'm like, shit, there's grease all over this thing. You could tell that might be a bad idea. So Aaron, he grabbed his fire extinguishers and he was like, I'm sorry, man. And he just filled it up in there. But hell, it kept going. They had their little fire department show up. They were lucky, man, because that guy, he about burnt the whole damn thing down.
Oh, we had a Dumb and Dumber moment. That was the Austrians, not the Australians. Put another Sean the Bobby.
Man, Wes Garrett just landed, so I don't know if he's going to log in from the airport, but man, he just hit the ground. But he's in the chat, so everybody say hello to Wes for sure. So,
Hey, Wes.
Wish he was here,
What's happening, West?
There'd be a lot more shigging going on if Wes was here. That's for sure.
There would. He's a little more pointed with the questions.
Oh, there's Stacy. Well then, goodbye, mate.
Well then, good night, mate. Good thing you tuned into the second half of the show.
Yeah, don't watch the first half, Stace. He's one that could probably help you on chicken. He's a chicken cooking machine. So, but yeah. So where are you two next, Jank? You're heading you're hitting on the road, huh?
Yeah, I'm leaving Thursday morning for New Jersey.
Right. It's a double there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not one to make that trip, but yeah, heading there, and then after that we'll be at BBQ for that double, and then we'll be obviously at the Royal for the double.
And the Royal is the last weekend of y'all's points chase. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
where do you sit right now, Janky?
We're sitting in third. Basically, pretty much at this point, I think anyone gets a win. If Mir Rooters gets a win, we move to first. If Chunky gets a win, they just pull ahead. But the only thing is right now, man, that I'm happy about is we all 3 of us, are getting to go head to head. And then, you got Childs and you got Levi, they're cooking well right now. So, man, you never know. Things are going to happen and shake out. They're just going to fall where they fall. But for me, man, I'm
congrats, Jason, on that first place chicken.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
congrats, Jason.
Bro. Big congrats.
Yeah, that's solid.
It's tough whenever it's tough when we're all so far apart.
Right.
I would like to. I want to go head up if I can. See if cook them.
Well, I mean, this weekend you probably will with some of them. I mean, I don't know if is Rooter going to be out there. Chunky will be there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think me, Rooters, and Chunky will be out there.
Yeah. And then everybody will be at the Royal, which, man, it's a crapshoot in that sense, but still, man, it counts for points.
Yeah.
So,
and the Royal's the last contest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do both days count or just the Open for points?
Man, I was told both days, but I'll be honest, I don't know. I'm one way or the other. I hope it's settled. I hope it's settled after BBQ. I hope.
Right.
I hope
does the Jack didn't count for points, did it?
Nah.
But the Royal Invitational does?
Yeah. I think. I believe so, yes. Yeah, it does.
The Invitational, and I would think the Open would, but man, the Invitational, but at the same time,
I was told both days count for.
I got you. I got you. And what about you? Are you heading somewhere next? Or are you back on kid duty and softball games?
Yeah, kid duty. We got softball tournaments this weekend, so I'm gonna go to the Royal, and that's gonna wrap up the year for me.
Right. And will this do anything to your schedule at all, or will you just continue on pretty much the same, the 4 or 5 a year?
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna continue on. I might add a couple, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm probably just gonna keep doing the ones that I don't really think I could squeeze any more in, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, Aaron says they both count for points, so that's interesting. But but yeah, let's see if there's any more questions from the crowd. I don't know. Yeah. Where are they sitting at? Where's Uncle Pig sitting at on the points? Is he within striking distance or?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I just know that I need to win a contest. I don't know. Right. People call me and they're like, "Oh man, do you know where you're at here? You need to win in brisket one contest, or you need to try." You know,
right.
Man, I'm just trying to cook and win if I can.
That's probably the best approach. The only thing you can control. So
yeah. And I guess there's not that many options this weekend coming up. There's New Jersey, and there's not really much else, huh?
Well, at this point, I just need to get swings, man. It's like a car deal.
Yeah.
More customers you can get in front of, more chance you got to sell cars. So,
yeah,
if I can get out there and try to get as many swings in on the barbecue contest, I'll hopefully maybe not.
The numbers take care of themselves, hopefully, huh? So,
reserving the jack probably cost me. That's probably reserving the jack. Probably figured that's good enough for you. 10th will suffice you the rest of the year.
And when do your classes start, Jank? Because you've got a couple of classes scheduled, yeah? When do those start?
How many classes? I think more than a couple, huh? 3 or 4?
Yeah.
4, man. But after, geez Louise, after this weekend, man, Allie's like, people are blowing us up. I'm like, we are not doing another class. Just
another 4. We need to roll out another 4.
Yeah, so
run it through August.
Maybe you can do like a screen, you know what I mean? Rent out like a convention center and have a cameraman.
I did have a guy offer to pay me for me to wear a GoPro through a contest. And I'm like, what? I said, that's goofy as hell. I said, are you serious? I said, dude, what are you going to do? I mean, you know, I take a piss sometimes through contests. Or I go over and I'm talking to I said, man, I cannot do that for you. So that don't make no sense. But no, so yeah, we've got we'll have a couple classes in December, and then January and February. We'll see. We're excited for those.
Man, Aaron's asked another question. I've heard this
turn-in strategy.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I honestly, I was 3 minutes probably from turn in, so we hit the middle of the window on everything. I don't know if that's good, bad, and different, but
was that on purpose or
not really? No, I mean, I think our chicken got in early, but other than that, everything was just kind of right in the middle. Yeah. And there was no logic behind that other than I didn't want to push it.
Right.
Once again, I think you made very good decisions. Anything you say is like, great decision. Great decision.
Was the right move.
Janky, your decisions were almost as impressive. Very, very close to the same.
What did you do on that, Jordan?
So I just pretty much run it like I do, a standard contest. I'm always probably I don't know that I'm ever first to a window on anything. I'm probably the first half of the window on chicken, and then as the cook goes, I kind of start lagging behind because I would say ribs were probably mid window, and then pork, man, I'm like yelling at Allie when she leaves the trailer to run most of the time.
Sounds like Phil.
And then brisket, we're probably towards the end of the window. Most of the time chicken, it really doesn't matter when you get there because it's just going to go when it goes, But I basically did the same thing. Probably towards the first of the window on chicken or mid window, and then mid window on ribs, and then probably the latter portions of pork and brisket.
And did you have anything, Phil, or you just turn them in as they're done? Was that pretty much your strategy?
Yeah, man, I'm kind of like Janky. My chicken went pretty early. You know, Carmen's back there. Yeah, maybe run. I mean, I didn't make her run none of this contest. It was all turned in with like 2 minutes to spare, which I feel like is a long
20 seconds. You didn't have to run.
You shouldn't have to run. Man, it's 10 seconds to turn in. I feel like I gave you too much time. You know, so man, we're normally on the tail end the last 2 or 3 minutes. Any sanctioned body we do, right? So man, just enough time to like account for tripping over the sidewalk and having to get up and fix your box. But other than chicken, like Jordan said, man, they're going to judge it. So, man, get it in early. It sets you up good for the last 3 or whatever. But man, you can't. And what's that couple minutes you get keeping it hot? I guess, man, who knows? They ain't doing shit, but makes our brain feel better, I guess.
Well, I know a lot of Texas cooks that don't really cook a lot of KCBS. You know, I've heard different things. You know, when I first started doing KCBS, make sure you turn in on a table that doesn't have good cooks. And man, I don't know that those guys understand that. I know. And I don't know that those guys understand that, man, that the boxes get rearranged backstage. You know, it's,
I mean,
you know,
I understand what I guess their mentality maybe is that they can outcook the other guy and stand out. But man, a bad table or a bad cook per se, or bad food, man, it'll blow up a table and your perfect brisket will just get bombed because they either blew out their palate, you know, or you've got 4 entries that are just awful. And then yours is, you know, middle of the road, and you just kind of fall into the mix of the scoring on the table. You know, if you have 4 shitty briskets and then you get a decent one, they can't really distinguish if your taste or flavor is great or not. So I would rather be on there with you 4 or, you know, you 3 and 2 other solid cooks and just let us go. I mean, see what happens. But
I agree with that.
Man, I agree with that too. I like to be on table with good cooks, you know, and usually if I'm on a table with good cooks, man, we all score pretty well. I
was going to say, how many times have you seen 4 of the guys on that table hit a top 10 on brisket because they're all good briskets.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, I think there's a lot of, you know, we got a lot of Texas cooks watching. They're getting ready for the Royal. You know, it's coming around the corner. So, man, I don't know that, man, they would be able to recognize who's a good cook and who's a bad cook as far as trying to get strategic. But even still, the Royal, man, they just throw it all back there and it lands wherever. You know, I don't even think they take the time to actually make sure you don't hit the same table twice like they do at a normal, you know, decent sized KCBS.
I hardly ever turn in my KCBS boxes. Most of the time, Carmen's with me when I cook KCBS. So she goes and, man, we've never talked about, man, just go turn it in. Yeah. And it's normally there ain't a whole lot of time to sit around and think strategy. But like you said, they bounce them in the back, don't they? Like, man, you can't control none of that shit. So, man, I'm very good about not worrying about anything I can't control because man, you're just wasting your energy on it. So, that's me. Yeah.
I think that answers Aaron's question. So, do you know this guy, El Jefe Smoke?
I know the team
because I think he had a call. I think.
Yes, I know that team.
Yeah. Because there were a lot of us watching the live feed, and when they said L, everybody thought it on the live feed. We were watching, a lot of Texas cooks were watching Phil's live feed, and they started out with L. A lot of people thought that it was going to be LC, but it was El Jefe. I don't know if you heard El Jefe getting called there, Phil, and thought it.
Man, I heard it, and I thought about it, and I actually leaned over because Mom and Dad were right, you know, on the other side of Carmen. Carmen was right next to me, and Cal, my brother, was right next to me. Kit was right there, and when they called El Jefe, I leaned over to Carmen. I said, "Man, I had already thought I had seen them, you know, walking around. So I had just seen their past them and saw their shirt El Jefe, and as I read it, you know, obviously the L and the LC sound alike, and I'm like, man, if those guys get a call, I'm going to hear that. So somehow I was pre-warned myself. when it happened. So it didn't get me, but it got everybody else on the team. And I think he kind of got me on brisket because even when you played the clip, he goes, LC, you know what I mean? You didn't know where he was going to go after that, right? So when you have a team, like it's like shit. It used to happen with Lucky Charms. You know, there was Lucky's Q. There was a few Luckies, you know, especially at the Royal. And Lucky, and then man, it went our way a few times, and it went the other way a few times too. So it's funny.
Man, I will say,
he 180. He 180 second place ribs. Fuck yeah! Congratulations, bro. That's awesome.
Man, if that had been my call, man, sorry, Al, man, I would have won the jack. I would have won 73 in ribs. 7 more points, I'd have beat you by 2. I've already broke it down.
It's the way it rolls, man. It's just the way it rolls, you know.
Hey, we won't get too far into it, but I was like, I told Allie, I was like, I think you pissed away the Jack Force. I said, I think you pissed away the Jack Force. We got 2 8s in appearance on brisket. I said, that's got to be your problem. She also told me when I was bitching about the chicken, because I was like, we should have pulled the 2 out and left the 1 in. That's bullshit. Why didn't you pull them? I wanted to have 1 piece of chicken in there. She's like, you're pissed at me over 3 pieces of chicken in there. Why aren't you pissed at yourself about cooking shitty chicken wings? I was like, you fucking take it back. Take that back right now.
Like it sounds, man, that has a lot of familiarity of like how y'all's cooks go to maybe how our cooks.
Do you see your comment there?
Not always, but like I hear back there. Shut up. It can get tense at times. It gets tense.
Oh, it does.
Man, when it left the trailer, it was a 180. What'd you do to it?
All of them were. All 4 of them were. Man, how'd that happen?
Will say this: there was a team that missed. There was a team that missed. They either missed ribs or pork, and she obviously has something to say. I guess the wife ran the box and was like 2 or 3 minutes late to turn in. So they were disqualified. She's smart. She threw the food away and went back, finished the cook, never said a word. And then after it basically was like, I'll face the fire, you know.
Right.
I told Allie, I was like, I don't know if I'd want you to do that to me or not. Because I'm the type that'd be like, fuck it. We're not going to cook brisket. Let's just
we're out of here.
Let's get the hell out of here. Go home.
Load up and go.
Yeah.
I think there's another team that when they turned in the paper towel in the box, they just shut it down and turned it in. And then so when they opened it up, the full paper towel was over the, you know, that was originally like keeping the garnish down.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's tough break.
Yeah, I guess maybe, you know, maybe the nerves get to some. I mean, everybody that's there obviously earned their way there with GC, you know, but I guess stress and, you know, timings or whatever. It could, you know,
absolutely.
It's a big event, and some people at bigger events, man, you know, they show up, and other people, you know, could obviously, you know, buckle, I guess. I don't know, you know.
And you
it
got
can
to
be
remember
stressful
this too. Like Lucas, you know, from Australia, the Australian teams, man, they've got 1 hour turn-ins. So, man, not everybody at the Jack is KCBS cooks. In fact,
that's right. That's right.
Man, I talked to so Corbin called me, I think it was last Wednesday, and he goes, "Hey Phil," with Dustin, the phone rang and it was Corbin. He goes, "Hey, I got to ask you something." I'm like, "Yeah, man, what is it?" He goes, "Hey, is Jack a KCBS contest?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." He goes, and Dustin's in the back. I told you it was. He goes, "No, he didn't." Like, so Dustin didn't know it was KCBS contest up until the week of, right? So, man, not everybody's exactly used to the 30-minute turn-ins and kill and all the other differences. So, I shit the bed. What?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of questions on that as well with teams going up, you know, Texas teams that gotten drawn, asking me about, you know, KCBS, is it KCBS and this, that, and the other. And, you know, what about this white meat and dark meat? And, you know, just lots of questions because, man, there were a lot. I mean, I think for the most part, the Texas teams that got drawn haven't cooked maybe 1 or 2 KCBSs, and that's it. So,
and that's often the case. Like, man, a lot of times you do have Texas teams going that most of the time don't do a lot of KCBS.
I have decided that I'm putting I'm gonna start cooking wings, man. Just they may not go in, they probably won't go in the box, but I am gonna cook them and put them in my process every week, and that way, if we do get back into the jack ever, man, I was a ball of nerves, just over these wings, man. I'm like, God dang, I cook a decent wing at home, but I was trying to get everything right, and I just decided, after that, man, I'm gonna run wings or try to run wings as much as I can and just process them out. If they're great, I'll put them in. If not, we'll munch on them later or whatever. But
that's probably not a bad strategy at all.
Bad idea at all, Jordan. Yeah. So obviously I've cooked in Texas mainly for the past few years, and I think it was 2.5 years ago when CBA changed the rule to where it was no longer just a half a chicken. You could do thighs, you could do anything that you wanted to other than pulled, chicken. And man, I started running wings, and I turned them in the first time I ran them, and I did well, and I just built on that. So, man, I've been running wings for almost 3 years every weekend in CBA. And, man, I just ran my CBA wings. So the wings were, are easier. Man, I've been doing them for a long time doing that. So, again, that goes back to the familiarity and rolling them into your rotation now, just doing them. Whether you get to the point you're turning them in or not, man, then boom, you go back to the jack and you're prepared for that. But, man, you got 10th, right? And I got 9th. So, shit, none of that makes sense. None of that shit makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't get a call in chicken, but I only turned in one wing.
Dude, your box was gorgeous. I don't know if you can pull that up. If you go to Albie's Facebook page, dude, his chicken box was amazing looking.
Man, I don't know how to do that. We need Wes Garrett. I mean, I probably could. Well, let me see. I'll try it. Let's see while you guys are.
Hey, Albie also has social media. He's a TikTok guru. That dude, he can put some food out on TikTok, man.
Not like Bill though, man. He's got it going on.
Oh yeah, there we go. Man, congrats, Ira, on the big second place pork, which I believe was a 182. Was the 180 as well. Man, big congrats. One of the Texas teams. Flying G. Man, I wanted to say, man, I saw a comment up here, Chucho's, and I think I even told Carmen right there at the end. Man, I knew they had 2 walks, and in my mind, I thought they had 3.
We had 3.
I think they walked in. They had 2 or meats, and one of them was like a chef's choice. I don't know. Okay. They had another call that wasn't. So I was like, man, did they have 3? Because, man, he, every time I think the first time he said their name, Chip said, man, I'm probably going to butcher this. So it kind of stuck in my mind. And then hearing their calls down the line. But, man, I think now there was a comment up here that Eric said that, man, there were several teams that had two walks or whatever. So anyway, I'll try to find it. Bill, did you find the
yeah,
Facebook?
I think I found it. Now I got to upload.
We're trying to be producers, and we're bad at it.
Wes Garrett left us in a lurch at the last minute, so
start doing podcast producer for dummies.
Right. And he's got a day job or so. I think he's got some kind of day job. I really don't understand it.
It ain't even making sense. Day job, but mainly happens at night, it feels like.
Yeah.
Hey, I see Jackie asked you a question, Phil. There it is.
Is that the one? Oh,
that's
there
the
it
one.
is.
Yep.
That's the one. And man, it does look freaking excellent, bro. That looks great. That's awesome.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've always cooked thighs, and this year I switched to legs at the beginning of the year, and I like them. They just feel so much easier to do, and have to worry about wrapping them in saran wrap and all that stuff that I used to do, and getting, probably better results than I was at the end with the thighs. I started getting, like a little dry or maybe too overdone. I couldn't hone in on it, and went to legs. I just like it better.
Man, I've been thinking about playing around with some legs. I haven't done it yet. I've been cooking. I cook thighs and wings every week in CBA, but I do want to play with some legs. I just haven't. I can do the thighs with my eyes closed. Just done them so much. So.
Oh, your thighs look awesome that you put on Facebook or on TikTok.
Yeah. Man, they don't always score. That's why I'm wanting to do legs. So.
I don't want to try to figure something else out, man. someone was like, "You're gonna start cooking legs, man?" I'm like, "Hell no, I'm gonna stick to what I know."
Man, I've been saying I'm going to cook legs for probably 6 months, and man, every week it's thighs. So
it's coming,
but it's coming. Jackie wants to know, Phil, did you cook one or two, or how many did you cook?
Man, I cooked one brisket. I brought 2 briskets.
Right.
Man, I've just gotten for whatever the past couple years or whatever. I just like trimming at the contest. So, man, I brought 2 really good briskets. I said if I had any trouble with the first one, I'll go to the second one. But it was a 22-pound, Snake River Farm Gold brisket, and man, it was great. So,
do you guys ever cook 2 briskets? Like, I've had people ask me that. Like, do you cook 2 briskets? I'm like,
me and Bill talked about it actually like the week before the contest. I told him what I was going to do, and I'm like, man, I've got I've got really good meat, and I'm going to bring it. I'm going to trim it all there. I'm bringing 2 briskets just in case. Man, I'm all the way, in Tennessee at the Jack. It kind of sucked to have a brisket that was cut in half or who knows what. So
yeah, but do you think? I'm asking more. So do you ever cook 2 briskets?
No,
I have. So.
Just if you screw one up.
No, I cooked at the or not at the Royal, but when I cooked the Jack, I cooked a Snake River and I cooked a Midland. Just because I felt like, man, it's a big contest, and man, I want to just have options. Just you cook so many ribs or whatever. Typically, man, I've only done it twice. I did it at the Jack, and man, both of them tasted the same. They were both good, and it was like, man, screw it, I'm turning in the Midland because man, they sponsor me. But they were both equally as good. And then I did it at the Houston Rodeo as well. And man, I was in the same boat where, man, both of them were great. Man, I don't know that I'll do it again because, man, I could have turned in either one and I'd have been happy with it at both cooks. So,
man, I will say I am glad that brisket scored because I was shit talking Aaron Stauffer about how good my brisket was. I was the whole time, like before we ever cooked it, because he always likes to send me a picture of like his trim brisket. And I was thinking, he'll normally ship talk me pretty hard. Man, as soon as I got parked and he was there, I walked over to his trailer. I was like, dude, you should see the hammer that I got. And he's like, oh, yeah? Right. I was thinking, please. I told Allie, I was like, we really need to get a brisket call because I want to hear this shit from him.
Now, I think your math is exactly right, Stacy. Exactly right.
Man, my processes are pretty simple. It's real easy for me to, like I said, if I want to do 2 at the Jack, I felt like I had plenty of, and I did burn ends, but I only cooked 1 point. But man, I still felt like I had plenty of time and I wasn't rushed as far as processing 2 briskets. It was, man, it's just 2 pieces of meat doing the same thing to them. So it wasn't too difficult.
Man, I will say I wish I did have another point because, man, that gold was super marbled, and man, I didn't end up turning in burn ends. Man, I just thought they were too fatty. And you can ask Bill, I almost always love my burn ends. And I remember last year after the Royal, I told you that, Bill. Man, next year remind me to turn my burn ends in, and don't overthink it. But when I sliced the brisket, I'm like, man, it's perfect. From one end to the other, it was perfect. And I finished my burn ends like I normally do. And I told Carmen, we'll box all the way to the front. I'm going to pull the burn ends back out. And I'm going to have to really, really, really like them for them to go. And man, I got like 7 lined up, and I bit the last one. I'm like, we both kind of shook each other's like, no. So anyway, we didn't send the burn ends. But maybe if I'd have had another point that wasn't quite so, marbled like that, I could have, man, whatever, it worked out.
Man, I think you did the right thing. I think you did. I think it was the right
burn ends have only been holding me back.
Exactly. And I'm turning them in all the time. I turned them in at the Jack. I turned them in at the Royal, and man, they've done pretty good. I haven't really. I turn them in just about every week too. Down here, so we're cooking them. Man, I'm cooking them every weekend, but it's usually just 1 point, 1 flat. So
you cook burn ends every weekend?
Every weekend, I cook them every weekend.
Do you turn them in often?
I turn them in every weekend, just about. Yeah.
Is it a Wagyu point?
Yeah. I turn them in every time.
I haven't cooked burn ends, and I can't even remember the last time that
I cooked them at
or cooked them.
Times. I cooked a point at 2 comps, and I had people try them, and both times they took about. They're like, no, don't turn those in." I'm thinking, damn, man.
I turned them in at Pine Bluff. I cooked Pine Bluff, and man, I got third brisket turning them in there. So.
Really?
Yeah,
man,
I did turn them in at the Jack 2 years ago, and I got 6th.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I normally do, man. Out of the past 100 contests I've done, I've turned in burn-ins probably 96 times, 97 times.
Really? Man, I had 40. I think I had 45 points in my freezer last year, and I cooked them for a little benefit. But man, I just don't do them at a comp.
Man, I bought all of Aaron Stouffer's when we were at the Invitational because, man, he was like, man, I got all these burn-ins are taking up freezer space. I said, man, I'll buy every one of them. Man, and I did. You know, he brought a cooler full of frozen burn-ins, and I bought them all, and I'm still just working my way through them. But, you know, a lot of times in Texas, I won't necessarily, knowing that I have all these burn-ins from Aaron and they're all snake golds, man, I can trim more of a Texas style with a little bit of point meat on the bottom. And I can still turn that in, you know, flat and point with burn in. So having that extra burn in just kind of helps my options. But equally, sometimes I will go ahead and just, if I've got a really nice burn in, sometimes I just cook that one and throw Aaron's back in the freezer.
For CBA, do you run like do you always leave point meat on there, or do you run like a KCBS box?
Nah, I'll run KCBS. Yeah, I run a KCBS box for the most part. So, man, occasionally my flat, if it's a thin flat or something, I might have point meat on the bottom, but for the most part, it's flat meat with burn-ins in the front.
Is there a sanction about? I mean, I see a lot of Texas guys. They seem like they have a lot of, you know, fat or point on there. Is there a sanctioning body that it's tailored to that?
But I think you'll see it more in IBCA just because there's no burn-ins. Like, man, I'm going to the contest and, man, I'm cutting my brisket in half. I'm separating. So, man, I have 2 pieces of meat, and that's how I'm going to cook mine. In IBCA, you can't turn in burn-ins. So, man, they'll trim them out more of a, man, like a Texas comp trim. We used to call it back in the day, to where you have quite a bit of point meat on the bottom.
Right.
Soon, Chris, soon. Man, I worked on that today. So we should be announcing a date here, man, probably before the end of the week. So, and we'll announce it on our barbecue Facebook page. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. More to come, boys. So
unless Janky puts out any more classes, we'll probably back off for a year. There's nobody to take classes. It's coming. 4 more coming. Got to make hay while the sun's shining.
Man, I think, Albie, I don't know what your schedule is. I told Albie we'd go an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes. How are you on timings? I don't know if there's.
That boss is already ready to fire him. Man, you know, you don't seem like you're with it today.
Oh my gosh!
The boss is ready to send him packing. He's like, man, I had a pretty eventful weekend.
I had to go to Indy today, or I'm sorry, Indy yesterday for like a 2-day meeting. So, and I just got back home. So it's been a busy few days for sure.
I imagine.
Well, Aaron's got more questions. I cook my point on a pellet grill. So my point, man, I don't put it on the drum. I cook my brisket on the drum and, you know, pork on the drum. And once it's wrapped, I move it over to a pellet. But the point, I just cook it the whole way on the pellet grill. So
I could have gone on my pit.
Yeah, man, as soon as my pit's ready, I'll be cooking it on that. And I don't think the pellet grill
won't be long, bro. Man, it shouldn't be another year or 2.
Yeah, pellet girl probably take a back seat. So, man, you want to talk about that award you got, Janky, the Outlaw one? That was pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, man, that was pretty special. So Jay with Outlaw, Jay Craig had came and we invited him whenever we, you know, qualified after the Royal to come cook with us. And me and Jay's became really good friends, you know. I actually met Jay at the Jack like 6 years ago. And yeah, man, after awards, we had went back to our site and there was a big group of people with a fire and, you know, Aaron and Bill Hine and Drew. I mean, there's a big group of people over there. And Jay had asked me, Allie, and Teen Wolf if he had loaned his trailer and pit to another team, and he had asked us if we would push his drum up in his trailer for him because he was wanting to leave early in the morning. So we were like, yeah, man, we'll go over. He's like, well, I don't want to ask them to do it. I was like, no problem. So we started walking over there, and I heard Brad Cox behind us, man. He's got a voice that carries. And I kind of glanced back, and they're all standing there. And me and Allie, I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, nothing. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So about that time, Jay turns around, and before he even started to say anything, you could tell he was getting emotional. I was like, are you good? And man, he started in, and he, basically was like, it was just a really, he basically went on to say, like, we represent his company well, and, represent barbecue the way he feels it should be, and basically just being decent people, the way everybody should be, pretty much. Anyway, not to draw it out too long. He just said a lot of nice shit about us, and it was pretty humbling. And he, it's the first award he's ever given, but it's called the King of the Outlaw Award. And basically, in a nutshell, he said it's, someone who displays traits of a champion, and all walks of life. And he made us a mini replica of an actual outlaw pit, and just put a lot of cool things on it. Like, he put our team logo on the back. On the outlaw, on the firebox, there's a stainless shelf, and he had it engraved with a map, and then had, where Illinois, where we're from, and had our team name on it. And on the inside of the pit, he has a nameplate, for, if you have the 800th outlaw, you have a tag on the inside that shows 800. And yeah, man, he had King of the Outlaw on there and number 1, and just a lot of really nice stuff, man. And it was, to say the least, about Jay Craig is, man, if you were ever to buy an offset pit, and there's a lot of great pit builders out there, and they're great people too, no doubt. But man, Jay Craig is as good as they come. And for him to give us that award, and, he's just a really good guy, man. And it meant a lot.
Yeah, Jay's a top-notch individual. He really is. He's a good friend of mine, and yeah, he's just awesome. And yeah, I saw that. That was sweet, man. That's a cool award.
It was
it's gonna be for Kids Q, right, or no?
Yeah. So Hayes literally, there's a picture of Hayes out there, and he's got the pit open. And man, it's like the perfect size for him. He stands there and he's holding that door up.
That's super cool.
It was really just kind of the icing on the cake, man. For the weekend, it was just kind of a whole slew of emotions to Jack that week. Man, he brought that out, and I was like, dude, you're about to make me, I'm over here cutting onions in front of my friends. Can you stop? But yeah, it was pretty neat.
Right. No, that's
congratulations,
awesome. Man. And you told me the story on the phone, but man, it looks much bigger. I was thinking something, a little smaller. Man,
it's a pretty cool little deal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And y'all can go check out all the pictures are on Janky's Facebook page, because he's got the map, and man, it's a really cool. You can tell he put a lot of craftsmanship into it. So
super cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Albie, man, I won't keep you. It's an hour and 24 minutes, man. I appreciate you coming on.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I don't know if there's anything else from the chat, or if anybody else has got any questions. I don't think we're going to do a backstage. I don't think we're going to do a backstage tonight. Just so, yeah, everyone knows, no backstage. I got to get ready. I mean, I got drums scattered out in the yard. I did clean my drums, both of them. So I still got to put them together and get them loaded. But man, if you want to thank anybody, if there's anybody you want to thank, you're more than welcome to shout them out, Albie.
I mean, like Kevin Green down at the butcher shop, he supplies my briskets, and Cordy Meats does most of my pork. So I appreciate that. And then, I mean, just along the way, there's been, guys I took their classes. I mean, I tell you what, I'd like to shout out to Jordan and Brad Cox. I mean, we're all buddies, and it's not that we just like share all of our information or anything, but, just throughout the years, I feel like we've just kind of worked together and helped each other. And, it's pretty cool that, now we've all got the world champ stamp. So that's really cool. So I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. Same.
Were you going to say something, Phil?
No, same thing. Just I wanted to thank anybody. Jordan, you got any?
Yeah, I mean, Tim and Terry share with Blues Hog all the time. Same thing with Cordy Meats, Jay and Kyle, just, top notch in general. And man, just all my buddies, that have, supplied me with rub or scissors or anything else that I forget at a barbecue comp anytime. But man, there's a ton of great people out there in barbecue that just really step up and help. And man, just a lot of good people, man.
Perfect.
Yeah, I want to mention Travis Clark too. He sponsored me at the beginning of the year, and he's got a lot of great product that I use, and so I appreciate him.
And you're on TikTok, is that right? Well, I need to follow
am.
you on TikTok. I don't know. What are you under? What's your TikTok?
Just Scuffletown Smokers. I actually just changed it, so it used to just be my name. But yeah, so
cool.
Nice.
I'll go check it out for sure.
Thank you for coming on, and big time congrats on TCRGC at the Jack this year, guys.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, appreciate you having us on.
Yep.
Oh, push the button.